Show you guys a slow down tutorial for how I use my BondiBoost infrared brush to get this blowout look. I'm always using this in my videos, and I have had many requests to do a slow down tutorial, so let's go. I always do this in 2 sections. You really don't have to, but I prefer the volume that it gives my hair. I've heard people say that they don't think they can use this because they're not good at using like a round brush and a blow dryer. First of all, this is so much easier, and it's different to me. So I first just make sure that the section of hair I'm using is smooth. And then I prefer to almost use this like I'm using a hot roller. I roll it in my hair, just rolling the whole thing. And then these hairs on my bottom layer are a lot shorter, so it's a little bit of a different method than I'll use on top. But I kind of just go like this, not touching the scalp. And I'm constantly moving, so it's not creating any creases. That's one of my #1 tips for any kind of hair curling in general. So I'm going to leave this here for a second, and then I'm going to unravel it. And when I'm unraveling, I'm twisting, and that's what's going to give us like the curled look. If you just don't twist it when you're unraveling it, if you were to just brush it out like this, it'll create more of like the big bouncy blowout look, but it's not necessarily going to be curled. Again, these hairs are really short, so I'm actually going to quickly do the bottom layer, and then we'll move to the top layer. Moving on to the top layer, I always start with my 2 front face framing pieces, and then I will do the rest of it. Again, making sure this is smooth. Now I'm going to go in curling this away from the face. If my little hairs like this fall out, I kind of just put them back up like this so that they'll get like a little bit of heat on them, but I'm not too worried about it because it usually turns out fine. Again, I'm gonna leave this up here almost like it's like a hot roller that you're leaving in your hair. Now I am just untwisting, and if you smooth out your hair before, this shouldn't be pulling your hair or making it feel like it shouldn't hurt. Now, it looks scary as you're going by. I'm just going to leave it like this while it cools. Same thing on the other side, but I prefer to do my wand upside down on the opposite side for my dominant hand. You can totally do it like this and get the same result, but this is more comfortable for me. Another common misconception about this tool that I have seen is that people think you can use on wet hair like it's a blow dry brush. This is not a blow dry brush. It's like more of a curling iron than a blow dryer. If you use it on wet hair, it will fry your hair. Imagine using a hot curling iron on wet hair. That is essentially what you would be doing. And I do the same thing all the way around. I just do everything away from my face until it meets in the middle back here. You can alternate if you want that kind of look. I think either one is cute, but this is just my preferred method for my hair. Again, always moving, hold it at the top, and you will see, hold it up like this. This is what gives me the volume at the roots. I'm going to show you this twisting motion again. When I first bought this brush, I bought it last fall, used it for a couple weeks, and I actually ended up returning it because they let you do that because I didn't think that I liked it, but don't be discouraged. It is a little bit of a learning curve. So then I had some friends that were obsessed with it, and I ended up repurchasing it, and now I'm obsessed. I'll show you this one on my opposite side of my dominant hand with having the brush upright. Twisting. And if I ever see some, like I already did this one, but I don't know. I can tell that I'm not gonna like how it looks, so I'm gonna redo it. I'm gonna let these cool for a second and I'll come back. I honestly don't let mine cool for too long. I could probably let them cool for longer. Been like maybe a couple minutes. Now we're going to brush through them. You can finger through them. I just always prefer the softer look that the brush gives. Using my Glow Beauty brush, of course, best brush ever. Something I always do is make sure I keep this on and plugged in until I'm completely done, because 9 times out of 10, I touch up a piece. I just don't love how this front piece looks, so I'm going to touch it up real quick. Okay, I just touched up my front pieces, and now I'm going to do my finishing products. You already know I am always using the Sexy Hair Powder Play. Without this, I always just hate how my hair looks. It's way too flat. Sometimes I work this in with a brush. Now the Color Wow Style on Steroids texture spray. Perfect amount of grit and volume. And then I always finish everything with a light to medium hold hairspray. This is the Kenra Perfect Medium Spray, the Kenra number 13. And I kind of just spray it all over. And you guys know I always get my little flyaways with it. And that is it. I really just think it creates the perfect blowout look. It looks a little bit different depending on what length my hair is. Longer hair, it's bigger, bouncier blowout curls. But there you have it. Let me know if you guys have any other questions that I did not answer.